Okay, this video I'm going to show you how to do exploded views in Onshape. So I've got a part here I've already created that's got a number of, or a model rather, with a number of parts. I want to explode that out and show how it would look or how it goes together. You need to do this in an assembly. So if you've got a part studio like this one here, where you've got all the parts together, you will need to drop that into the assembly space. Very straightforward to do. If you insert the part studio like that, you will notice that these things aren't fixed. So if you just select all the parts and right click and fix them, then that will allow you to then carry on without messing them up. If you haven't got it in a part studio, you'll need to create the assembly the normal way by adding parts from other documents or wherever you've got them, and then using the fasten mate constraint to fix them together. There's other videos that show you how to do that though. So we've got our model here. First thing, if we're going to look at how to create the exploded view, we're usually going to want then to put that into a drawing. So a drawing will probably require us to have the view set to isometric. So make sure that the view you've got here, selected in this little box, is isometric. I think sometimes mine's defaults to trimetric. It's fine when you're looking at it, but when you then put it into the drawing sheet, it may not look quite right. So make sure that there is isometric. Right, next thing we need to do is to find the exploded view option. So over here on the right, there's a button that says exploded views. If we click that, get a big box opening, and we've got here a button that says add exploded view. So it's very straightforward. All we're going to do is we're going to pick a part, and then we're going to drag it in a distance that we want to move it to. And by doing that, we can create an exploded view. Before you start though, have a think about the order in which you're going to do it and the direction in which the parts are going to explode. So think about how you'd actually maybe take it apart. So if you've got a nut or a bolt, does that need to come out and then something slides? So here I'm going to start by undoing this bolt and washer and pulling them out to this side. This one here is going to come out in a different direction, and I'll probably slide that right through. So start by picking the part or parts. You can either select them here in the view, or you can select them from the list here. If you select one that then you decide you don't want, you can just click it again and it will become deselected. So I've got the two parts. Think about what direction you're going to move it in. So I'm going to move it maybe that far along in this direction, and I get a box that pops up. We can put a precise distance if you want to, or we can just leave it kind of by eye. So you're going to keep doing that until you've exploded all the various parts. And thinking about the directions, if you need to do rotations, you can rotate objects. You may want to do more than one exploded sort of movements. They're going to come along and then up, so you could actually, if you wanted to now, move that separately as well. So you can create bits that come out and go in. I don't need that on this particular example. So once you've done it, you might want to adjust things. So this here is a little bit far away now that the inside one's gone. I can, if I want, just move those back in. So they're about here. That will create an extra step there, so I could do that. Or if I wanted, if I preferred, I could go back to my first one, and I could actually don't need to move it hardly at all. I'm going to go for, let's go for 10. Obviously you can play around with this until you're happy with it, but there we go. That's something like that. So once we're done, we're going to hit done, and that is our exploded view done. So now it puts it back together in that assembly space, but it is still here in the little tree. So what we need to do now is go back to the drawing. So I've already created a drawing of the various elements of this model, put sizes on. I want to have another page that's got the exploded view. Best way to do that is to create a separate sheet rather than creating a new drawing here down at the bottom. Create a new sheet. So to do that, you need to find the little Sheets tab here. Open it up, it shows you the various drawings, and at the top here you can add a new sheet. I'll give you a blank page, and then you can add your view onto there. So I'm going to go for the assembly one. I'm going to go for a scale of 1 to 1, and I want an isometric view. Okay, now if I just pause it there for a minute, you'll see there's my isometric view. It's not exploded. Up here I've got the option to add the explode. There we go, and if I drop that in, it should appear. Now, for some reason, sometimes if we now go to update the sheet that little orange icon there, which makes sure any changes that have come through from the model are added and reflected in the sheet here, disappears. Don't know why it does that. If you double click it, you go back to that explode position option and hit explode 1, then it will refind it and you will have the view. One last thing, it has these little explosion lines, shows you these trails of where the parts have come from. Sometimes they're useful, sometimes they get in the way. If you want to get rid of those, then you need to go back to the assembly view, go back to the exploded view, and if you double click on each of the steps, there's an option here where it says explode lines. So if I just uncheck that on each of these, you will see that when I go back to the drawing and update the drawing, those lines will have disappeared. Number 4 as well. Okay, so I go back to this one here and I update that, you'll see these lines should disappear. It's a preference, it's up to you as to whether or not you want them there. Sometimes it's helpful, sometimes they get a bit in the way. Okay, so that is exploded views in Onshape. If you have issues, then just get in touch, but hopefully that will allow you to create the drawings that you need to do.